Hello everyone, my name is Linda and today I talk about the Washington for kids. In this video, we are learning about the state of Washington. Yeah, the state of Washington. And to begin, we are gonna look at the fact of the state of Washington. Here it is. Now, who's in the middle of that flag? Who is that? Yeah, George Washington. The state of Washington was named after our very first president, George Washington. Now you might have noticed just below George Washington is the year 1889. 1889 was an important year. It was the year that Washington became a state of the United States. This flag is the only state flag that features a president on it. It is also the only U.S. state flag that is mostly green. And we're gonna talk about why it's mostly green in just a little bit. Well, we're gonna keep that a surprise for now. Now we're gonna clear up something that can be a little bit confusing. You see, there are two major places in the United States that are named after George Washington. There's of course the state of Washington, which this video is all about. It is in the furthest northwest corner of the continental United States. The other place named after George Washington is Washington, D.C., the capital of the entire United States. You can see that both Washingtons are on different coasts of the United States. The state of Washington is on the west coast. Washington, D.C., the capital of the United States, is on the east coast. Both are commonly just called Washington. So somebody said, I'm gonna go to Washington. Make sure you know whether it's the state of Washington or Washington, D.C. Washington is one of the Pacific states because it borders the Pacific Ocean. The state of Washington belongs to a now of the United States called the Pacific Northwest. Pretty cool, huh? The state of Washington is in the northwest corner of the continental United States. Alright, now we're gonna talk it this question. Does Washington have any nicknames? We know it's one of the Pacific states and is in the Pacific Northwest region of the United States, and it was named after George Washington, but doesn't have any other name that it goes by. Well, the state of Washington has one main nickname, the Evergreen State. Yeah, a lot of people call Washington the Evergreen State. The reason for that is pretty simple. There are so many evergreen forests, so so many evergreen trees and forests. As the name implies, evergreen trees stay green all years long. And Washington is the perfect place for this tree because it rains a ton in the evergreen state, which keeps things green and healthy. Is great for plants. And this is the secret reason why the flag has so much green in it, because Washington is the evergreen state. Tons of evergreen trees and it rains so much, which keep the plants green and healthy and happy. I mean, not literally happy, they are plants, but you know that, yeah. Because there are so many trees, lumber is one of the biggest industries that the state of Washington has. Washington is also a perfect place to produce apples. The state of Washington grows more apples than any other U.S. state. In fact, 64% of all apples produced in the United States come from Washington. Okay, so Washington is called the Evergreen State. That's pretty cool. Now let's neat place in Washington. Alright, so here is the state of Washington. Again, we're gonna look at some cool places. Okay, so right here is the city of Olympia. Olympia is the capital of Washington. A little further north is the city of Seattle. Seattle is the largest city in Washington. Then on the other end of state, to the east, is the city of Spokane. Interestingly enough, Spokane is the birthplace of Father's Day, the holiday that celebrates the fathers. Spokane is also the home to tons of homeschool pop fans, and we know that because a lot of share where you live, and there are so many homeschool pop fans in Spokane. Washington, it just live like a heaven of the learning. Some of you are from Spokane, so thank you all our views from everywhere. But wow, a lot of people in Spokane are learning with homeschool pop. But the city Washington is most well known for is the city of Seattle. As we said, is the largest city in Washington. You gotta to check this out. This is called the Space Needle. This metal observational tower. You could go up the tower. Who is it old or little? Okay, goodbye. Level to go up to the top of the Space Needle, and this is a simple most people think of when they think of Seattle, and a lot of time when they think of Washington. Alright, we have one more cool fact for you about Washington. What is the state birth of Washington? That's a wonderful question. The state birth of Washington is American goldfinch. The American goldfinch. These cute small little birds like to migrate, and they especially love to migrate to areas that are dangerous where people are living. These small birds are bird feeder fanatics. Okay, and this is the end. Goodbye.